Hey guys, this is test 58 game 1. This is the monuments game. It's an ordering game. We know this because there are 5 consecutive years, so there must be an order in which those occur, of course, 1 through 5. So we're taking the 6 monuments here, F, G, H, L, M, S, and assigning them to one of these 5 consecutive years. Now, they tell us that we've got L later than G but earlier than F, so I put down the general loose ordering GLF. H is no earlier than 604, so H must be either 4 or 5. Of course, I removed the 6, 0 just because you don't need it. It's 1 through 5, 601 through 605. They tell us that M is earlier than 604, so M cannot be on either 4 or 5. It must go on, 1, 2, or 3. They also tell us that 2 of them were in 601, and the other years, 2, 3, 4, 5, have only one monument. That's essentially what they're saying. Now, in addition to the fact that M cannot be on 4 or 5, because GLF must go in that order, we can infer that F is neither 1 nor 2, G is neither 4 nor 5, and L is neither 1 nor 5. Now, in addition to this, I made a few other inferences. I know that L cannot go on 4, because if L was on 4, then F would have to be on 5, and there would be nowhere for H to go. Additionally, I inferred that G could not be on 3, because if G was on 3, we'd have L on 4, F on 5, and then once again, nowhere for H to go. So G must go on either 1 or 2, L must go on either 2 or 3. Now, you could make two different main diagrams, one with G on 1 versus one with G on 2, or you could make two different diagrams, one with L on 2, one with L on 3. Those are both great to do. They'll help you a great deal over the course of the game. I'm not going to do that here, though, just because I suspect that many of you might not have thought of that, and you can very easily answer the questions even without making those multiple main diagrams. Anyway, let's move on to the questions with this as our main diagram. Question number 1, typical orientation question. We're just taking one rule at a time and then applying that rule to all 5 choices, looking for violations. So first of all, we know that neither 4 nor 5 can ever have any of M, G, or L. So I'll scan through looking for violations there. All 5 choices, none of them have M, G, or L on 5, so that's not going to help. We also know that none of the 5 choices could have M, G, or L on 4. So with that knowledge, we can actually get rid of both C and D off the bat because C has L on 4 and D has M on 4. We can also use the knowledge that neither L or F is on 1, but no violations there. We can use the general ordering GLF to help us out. Looking for violations, we see that A is good on that issue, B is good on that issue, and E is good on that issue as well, so that's not going to help. We know that H has to be on either 4 or 5, so looking for violations there, we see that choice B has H on 3. That's unacceptable, so B can be eliminated. We've run through all the rules and nothing really stuck except for the final rule, which tells us that we have 2 monuments on year 1. So looking at the choices there, A violates this, having only 1 monument on year 1, and not even including all 5 monuments, it's missing S. Therefore, A is gone, leaving E by elimination for number 1. Next, number 2, what's the latest year in which L could have happened? Well, L could be on either 2 or 3, but never on 4 or 5. Again, L cannot be on 4 because if L was on 4, we'd have to have F coming after it on 5, and no room for H on either 4 or 5. Therefore, L's latest year would be year 3, so choice C, 603 is our answer to number 2. Next, number 3, what would allow us to completely determine the layout of the monuments, leaving no ambiguity at all? So what would completely determine them? Let's just run through the choices. Nothing, appears to jump out, overtly. So I'll run through the choices and then explain why the correct answer might have actually jumped out at you. Anyway, A says F on 3. So if we were to put F on 3, we'd have to have G on 1 and L on 2. But then, 4 and 5 would be able to be either of H or S interchangeably with M on 1. It wouldn't determine whether we had H4 and S5 or S4 and H5. Therefore, A can be eliminated since it does not completely determine everything. Next, looking at B, G on 2. If we had G on 2, we would have to have L on 3, and then F and H interchangeable on 4 and 5. Again, it would not completely determine them. There would still be some ambiguity, therefore B is gone also. Next, looking at C, H on 5. If we had H on 5, well, we don't know what would happen. I mean, we'd have to have either F or S on 4, but there's still plenty of ambiguity regarding what happens there, so C is gone also. Next, D, M on 2. If M were on 2, we would have to have L on 3, because L can't be 1, 4, or 5, and M's taking up 2. So L's on 3, G's on 1. F and H are interchangeable on 4 and 5, though. We don't know what's happening there. So because there's that ambiguity, we can eliminate D as well, leaving E by elimination for number 3. And the reason that E, S on 4 works out, I'll show you. So if S were on 4, we'd have H on 5, of course, and then G, L, F would have to be limited to 1, 2, and 3, leaving M on 1. So no ambiguity here, completely determined. Therefore, E is our answer for number 3. And the reason I would look at E first, if I just happen to spot it, is that S on 4 is automatically forcing H to 5, and we've got this general sequence that has to go earlier. So therefore, because spots 4 and 5 are especially limited, I would consider starting with C and E, since they mentioned 4 and 5. But E is a bit more limiting, because when you limit something else to 4, you're pushing H to 5 as a result. Being told H is on 5 still doesn't tell you what would be going on 4. So for that reason, E is more limiting than C, and I would start with E if I spotted it. Next, number 4, general must be true question. So just run through the choices, of course. F later than M. Well, we know that M can never go on either 4 or 5. We know that F can never go on either 1 or 2. So for that reason, M will go either 1, 2, or 3, places that F could not go. I mean, of course, F could go on 3, but if M were there, F would be forced to either 4 or 5. So for that reason, F later than M, meaning M before F, actually does have to happen. So for that reason, we can add it to our main diagram and choose A for number 4. Next, number 5, what would force L to be on 2? Well, we know that L is always limited to either 2 or 3, because it can never be any of 1, 4, or 5. So L is always 2 or 3. What would force it onto 2 in particular? Well, if something else were on 3. And choice E says S on 3. So if S were on 3, where else could L go? It would have to go to 2. We'd have G on 1, F and H interchangeable on 4 and 5, and then we would have to have M on 1 as a result. So yes, S on 3 does force L to be on 2, and as such, E is our answer to number 5. Finally, number 6, if M was later than L. So we already know that M's before F. We learned that from number 4. That's pointed out to us. So if M was later than L, we would now have G, L, M, and F occurring in that particular order. So we'd have a large sequence here of G, L, M, F. And we would know that since L can't go on L has to go on either 2 or 3, even if we had G, L, M, F on G starting on 2, L on 3, M on 4, F on 5, we would have nowhere for H to go. Therefore, we must have G on 1, we would have L on 2, and M on 3, and then F interchangeable with H on 4 and 5, leaving S to go on 1 as a result. So what could be true? F on 3? No, F has to be on either 4 or 5, therefore A is gone. B with G on 2? No, as we said, G couldn't be on 2 because then H would have nowhere to go, therefore G has to go on 1, so B's gone. H on 5? Yeah, well, H has to go on either 4 or 5, so it could certainly go on 5. C's our answer to number 6. I will look at D and E though. L on 3, no, as I stated before, L must go on 2, so D's gone. And then S on 4, no, S is forced onto 1 as a result of this whole sequence, so E's gone as well, leaving C.